The following podcast contains spoilers and words like gee, whiz, and gosh darn it. We watch TV. We watch TV. Hello, good people, and welcome back to We Watched a Thing. That's right. I ripped you off, Sam.
What a dick.
It's your boy Beat Izzle here with Dave and special guest Sam Hurley from Movie Reviews and 20 Qs. How are you lads going?
Oi, 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 coppers! I'm fucking ready again.
Mate.
You're 7 days late, but you're beautiful.
That's right. That's how important you are, Sam. You're more important to us.
I made him talk
MCU.
about musicals for about an hour because you weren't here.
Yes! Good. That's what I want to hear.
But you're here. Sam is here. We're going to talk some MCU. We've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and then after that, we're going to get to some Cocaine Bear chat. So let's get right into it then. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania is a 2023 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics characters. It's fucking hell, there's too much info here. It is the 31st film in the MCU, and it's directed by Peyton Reed, written by Jeff Loveness, and it stars, of course, Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Jonathan Majors, Kathryn Newton, David Dastmalchian, Katy O'Brian, William Jackson Harper,
Nice work, old
Bill
man.
Murray, Michelle Pfeiffer, Corey Stoll, and Michael Douglas. And, oh, geez, there's two of you to pick from. Oh, all right, Sam, what's it about, mate?
I love how you're picking on me for this because I watched it 2 weeks ago and I messaged you and said, I've got baby brain. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know where I am.
Big people get small.
Basically, we continue the adventures of Paul Rudd's character, Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man. It's sort of a family tale in which his young daughter inadvertently creates a portal to the quantum realm, which sucks off her dad, her mum, her granddad, sucks off her grandma as well, sucks them all off down to the quantum realm, where they then try to reconnect with each other before they get reverse sucked back into back into the real world.
I've never been that interested in science, but now I want to discover this
David
quantum realm.
There we go. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the plot of Quantumania.
Right, well, I got to ask you this because you are the biggest MCU fan I know, which is why you always hop on for these episodes. But I'm
losing weight, man. I'm no longer the biggest one. I'm pretty sure there's others out there that are piping me on the scales, but
Yeah,
but I know
he and Julio need to have a way off. I think it's a little unfair.
I know that even you have been waning interest in the MCU. I know that even you have felt the fatigue. No?
No waning interest. How no? Okay, I'll put it this way. I don't go and see them twice at the movies anymore, but I blame that on being a parent. I don't blame that on my dislike for these films.
But why? Because they're not as good as they used to be.
There's that as well.
Shots
But my
fired.
interest isn't waning. I'm still going to go see every single one of these films. And then pump them into my veins. Give me that TV show. Give me She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion. I don't give a shit. I love it all.
I love She-Hulk.
She-Hulk was good. All right, so how excited were you for this one then? Like, where were your excitement levels?
Oh, not at all. I couldn't give a shit about Ant-Man.
See, this, ironically, strangely, for some reason, I have no idea why, this is the first one in like 2-3 years that I was excited to see. I don't know
keen.
why. You were keen?
Yeah. I've liked both the previous ones.
Yes.
I mean, Paul Rudd obviously is Paul Rudd. Everyone loves Paul Rudd. If you don't love Paul Rudd, you're not a human. But the way they've treated the Ant-Man character, I've really enjoyed because it's not grandiose, world-saving stuff. It's a small guy dealing with these miraculous superpowers, but in his normal human world, and that's what's really worked. Until now.
I was going to say, that's why I find this movie a strange thing to do. I'm completely out of movie news. I had no idea that this was where we were getting, is it Kang?
Kang the Conqueror.
Kang?
I was going to say Kodos, because my mind goes straight to The Simpsons.
Fucking hell, Billy.
But yeah, I had no idea that this is where we were getting Kang. But it seems like a weird place for that to happen. Like you say, these movies have always been quite small and intimate, and here we are with this massive
It's a weird choice
adventure
to have
that's introducing
Ant-Man
the next
being
villain.
the guy to introduce Kang properly into the cinematic universe as opposed to the TV universe. But because of the corner that they've written themselves into with Loki, it kind of had to be Ant-Man because they've worked the whole multiverse thing into the Kang storyline.
Right.
And the only character that could really introduce him into the movies was Ant-Man.
Well, I haven't seen Loki, but Sam, I've got to ask you because you always know all of this stuff, and if you don't, you make it up, and it sounds like you do, which is fantastic. So, is Quantumania a comics book storyline? Like, is this how Kang is either introduced or is he presented in this form anyway in the comics? I can see you looking away. I'm guessing you're Googling.
Nah, I'm not Googling, but it
is and it isn't. It's a mixture.
It is and it is. Yeah, that you're right. Like a lot of the stuff that features in this in terms of like the different variants of Kangs and throughout history, like they basically had very early on in the Avengers comic book series a couple of villains pop up that later were retconned and turned into versions of Kang. Yeah, right. And like he's always been like the Conqueror, that's his thing. He wants to take over worlds. And then there's the Secret Wars storyline from 2015, which I've read once but barely remember. So I don't really want to go into too much detail of my knowledge on that. So yeah, it is what it is. I mean, like all of these ones, like you're never going to get a faithful adaptation of a comic book directly. You know, you're never going to get The Watchmen, or then I'm trying to think of another one that's even closer. Yeah. So yeah, it just doesn't work. Yeah,
especially with Marvel when you even more than DC, you've literally got storylines on top of storylines on top of storylines, characters being retconned almost out of existence over the decades to try and keep them relevant. And, I mean, as you said, Sam, I mean, you've got so many versions of Kang, and we saw a few at the end of this, which we'll no doubt get to, but
yeah, we did.
It's an almost impossible task to bring to screen. And I mean, to a point, they kind of did okay, even though they made some, I think, decisions in terms of.
Whoa, cracking out the word! I'm gonna have to beep that out, mate.
Just stupid choices in terms of the script.
Okay. Let's start there because I heard nothing but negative things about this film. This film has pretty widely been panned. Has it now officially done worse than Eternals, or is it still slightly higher than that in terms of reception?
I don't know, because in the immortal words of Jay-Z, fuck critics, they can kiss my whole asshole. If you don't like my lyrics, you can push fast forward. I was like similar to you. I went into this like everyone was talking about how fucking abysmal it's going to be.
Bad.
It is absolutely not abysmal.
This movie delivered exactly what I expected.
It's not as bad as Multiverse of Madness. It's not as bad as No Way Home.
Here's my thing: if this movie was released 6 years ago, exactly the same film, I think the reception would have been much better. I think that what we're seeing with critics more is the MCU and superhero fatigue rather than a reaction to the actual film. Because I think the film itself is fine. I think it does what it says on the tin. I had a decent enough time. I like Paul Rudd. I think he's having fun with it. Do I think it's a great movie? Absolutely not. I think there's plenty of flaws, which we'll get to. But on the whole, this movie did what I thought it was going to do. Do you guys agree?
I'm right. Absolutely, I'm right there with you. Like my problem is, I feel like we're living in the post-Endgame era, post-Infinity War, post-Endgame, where like I'm going to use the word filmmaking, and obviously it's not Scorsese. You know, it's not that, but like Infinity War and Endgame set these such high levels of filmmaking, of like bringing in all these characters, giving them all their dues, telling a like condensed version of a comic book story into 2 films that was accessible, relatable, like it was the culmination of 10 years. And unfortunately, when you hit such a high note, it's impossible to follow after it with anything. No, so like even a lot of ways, there's small intimate moments in this, which was missing from Endgame and Infinity War, but at the same time, it's like, again, you're right. Like if this film would come out before those films, we'd be sitting here going, "Oh yeah, it was quite doable." It was all right.
I hear a lot of complaints about the fact that Phase 4 hasn't had this incremental build up to a big bad the way the previous phases have. And if you hadn't had the previous phases, no one would be caring. People would be looking at each individual film or TV show and going, do I like it? Do I not like it? Is it good? Is it bad?
I also think
who cares about whether or not it's part of a bigger story? phase, I mean, partly it's Marvel's fault for calling it Phase 4 and creating these phases. True. But at the end of the day, each property should be really assessed on its own merits. She-Hulk is a great fucking TV show. Who gives a shit whether it's part of a bigger whole or not? It's just a great TV show. And so on. And Phase 4 TV has been, by and large, with a couple of exceptions, really fucking strong. The movies of Phase 4 have been shit, but that's because they're bad movies, not because they're not part of a longer overarching storyline that every phase must fucking have. And I think that's just a null criticism. It doesn't matter whether or not this phase mirrors the previous phases in terms of its structure.
Yeah, I agree.
Each property, I mean, unfortunately, the films have been largely lackluster, but it's not because there's not an overarching plot line. It's just because they're bad films.
All right. Well, now that we've explained why the film isn't shit, let's talk about how shit this film is, all right?
It's pretty fucking mediocre.
Yeah. Like, do not get me wrong.
But it's mediocre for different reasons.
Yes. It's not for the reasons that, like, people are saying.
No, everyone else is wrong, but the film is still not great.
That's correct. Can we address what I feel like was my biggest criticism about this?
Evangeline Lilly's hair.
Let's talk about the hair.
Yeah.
The hair.
What is that hair?
Oh, my
What style is she going?
Her manager needs to be fired. She went through, 6 years of Lost looking stunning on a fucking desert island with no makeup or anything.
Yeah.
And now it has to deal with this shit.
All right, sorry I derailed you there, Sam. Sorry, what's your actual problem with the film? Unhair related.
No, super carrot. Super haircut. I fucking hate it. Fortunately for me, and I made this joke in the message, I mean, her name's in the title, Ant-Man and the Wasp. She's in it.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, 100%. That was one of my biggest issues with it as well, is half these characters get completely sidelined. I think this movie should have just been called Ant-Man because the Wasp is barely there at all.
No.
I mean, what the fuck are even Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer
doing? He fucks
doing?
off for the entire film and then comes back with some miraculous ant race that has evolved over 1,000 years for whatever fucking bullshit reasons.
They then go and chill out and go hang out down at the pub while everyone's having a battle and come in.
Because insects can evolve brains, apparently. Whatever.
I'm guessing that this is something you know, Sam. Cassie Lang, she must have a superhero code name.
Stature!
Is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Irrespective of the fact that, let's face it, we're all sick of fucking teenagers who lose their parents becoming super scientists because they've got nothing else to do, because that's just what happens. But no, Cassie Lang in the comics is Stature. She does have a suit and all that sort of shit.
Well, this should have been called Ant-Man and Stature then, in my opinion. That would have been a way better movie to me.
Does anyone else feel sorry for the poor actress that was playing?
Can you hear us, Sam?
Cassie in Endgame?
Yeah.
Who then, because she's not as well known as Kathryn Newton, didn't get the gig for this?
No, I feel bad for no one. Kathryn Newton's way fucking better.
But she's not fucking good in this. She was good in Freaky. She's not good in this.
Nah, she's good in everything. You leave Kathryn Newton alone.
You got problems, bro. You've got problems.
She's not tall. No, I've seen a lot of criticism of Kathryn Newton in this film, and I honestly don't get it. Like I said at the start,
she's not the worst thing. She's
totally fine.
I think she's totally fine, but she gets given some bullshit dialogue.
But they all do. I don't think anyone makes the dialogue in this film work. Even
the only person who has good dialogue in this film is David Dastmalchian. I have holes.
Yeah, because
that was amazing.
Even Paul Rudd doesn't make this dialogue work at all. I think the only actor
Paul Rudd not charismatic and funny for half the movie.
Yeah, exactly. How is that?
That
impossible?
takes some fucking doing.
Yeah, I feel like Jonathan Majors. I feel like Jonathan Majors is the only one in this film showing any acting chops. Yeah, I forgot his name for a minute. What of it? I think that his Kang is very enjoyable to watch, and I don't
up until the post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
I quite liked Michelle Pfeiffer. I thought she was all right with the very, like, the Oscar moment scene that they gave her. You know, I thought that was all right when she was, like, discussing how, it's kind of, like, excessively exposition, but at the same time when she's, like, discussing her life and, within the quantum realm and how she's come to be the person that she is, sort of thing. I thought that was interesting.
She did really well with that, given that plot-wise it kind of made zero sense that she would have not even mentioned the fact that for 30 years she'd lived this life with this entire fucking society and just not mentioned it at all.
This is
despite the fact that everyone in her life is a genius scientist who is investigating the quantum realm and may stumble across this shit at any moment. You'd think she would have
how do you keep quiet the fact that you banged Bill Murray? I mean, that's like...
This is my biggest issue with the film, actually, is the way that I think the lore around the Quantumverse changes even throughout the film itself.
Don't get me started on
where the fuck did all these
time
people
is
come
different
from?
Bullshit.
Not even just the time stuff. Where did all of the citizens of the quantum realm come from?
Oh,
when
it's
she's
like the
telling
fucking
the backstory of her
from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Are we meant to believe that the quantum realm has infinite number of planets?
Yeah.
Or is it one world that has 7,000 fucking species of all living in harmony?
And when she's telling the backstory about Kang and how he was she's telling that story as if these two are stranded on a deserted planet. Like, there's nobody else around. They're helping each other trying to get home. But we know that there's fucking billions of people living down here.
And
it
not
doesn't make any
single
sense.
one of them is the same species.
Yeah.
Like, literally every character in this film is a different race.
Except for those buildings. All those buildings were the same.
Well, yeah. the sentient buildings, okay.
What the hell?
But everyone else, every single other character is a different species, apart from the two humanoid ones being Bill Murray and Chidi Adagonwe from fucking Good Place.
Yeah, who I like him. He should have been.
I like him. He was great. He should have had more, but he didn't. But everyone else, how are they even reproducing?
It's just a whole bunch of people that have been sucked off down to the quantum realm, bro. Different spaces and places and planets. It's been sucked off, and now they've ended up down the quantum realm.
Oh, listeners, I wish you could see Sam's face. He is so proud of his own joke right now. He is giving himself the giggles big time.
Can you smell the smug through your earphones? Can we talk about my I've got a dear friend that does the podcast with me, Machu, who's notorious for having a massive head and short arms and legs.
I know where we're going.
After the movie finished, I messaged him and said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Fuck you." I was like, "Oh, you know where this is going." I was like, "They wasted about $20 million CGI budget when they could have just cast you." But let's talk about it. How terrible does MODOK look, right?
All right.
I want to defend on Billy's behalf. I'm going to defend the CG guys because everyone's slagging off the CG in this because of MODOK.
Yeah,
I reckon the blame lies with the writers. Once you've made the fucking stupid decision to put MODOK as a character in this, I reckon the CG guys did about as good a job as anyone could do.
I mean,
the problem is the decision to fucking put him in there. Once he's in there, I don't reckon you could make him look much better than that.
I'm going to give you guys an unpopular opinion here. I don't hate MODOK. I think that the design is actually, I don't know, there's something interesting about it. And I think it's supposed to be played as a gag, particularly at first. And this is where I think the big problem with MODOK is, I think you're right, I think it's the writing, Dave, because
it is.
That first reveal...
to be fair, I think some of the funniest lines were when he was dying.
Yeah. But
I think Corey Stoll, I think, did.
Yeah.
And the idea of bringing him back and him being MODOK, I thought was an interesting twist. Yeah. And I think he did a good job and delivered some funny lines. I just think it was a fucking stupid decision to have the character.
But that first reveal where he took his mask off and you see his face, my entire audience pissed themselves laughing. And look, you can look at that two ways. Are we laughing at it or with it?
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like that was the intention. I feel like it was supposed to be funny, Because, let's face it, there's not a lot else comedy in this film, and it's an Ant-Man film. These films are inherently comedies. Like, they have in the past been quite silly. We're missing Louis in this one, for example.
I do think they treated it quite well. You had the characters literally sort of doing what the fuck.
Yeah, and that's I think, the reaction the audience was supposed to have as well.
Once
like,
you've been told by the powers that be, we're sticking this character in there, and it's not going to be the funny Patton Oswalt cartoon one. We're going to stretch a face over a giant thing. I think the writers, the CGI guys, the actors, everyone did a good job. And I think the result went with it. I wasn't sitting there going, this is not working. It was some of the stuff that was actually probably, for me, the funniest in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is one of the, you're right, Dave. It's one of the, like, don't pull that character from the comics. You know, you like how you
exactly like the guy is a joke. Like he's an absolute joke.
There is. I'm sure there is a blacklist of characters in the DC Marvel world passed around writers, as in, don't fucking do these guys because they're not going to work.
Here's the thing, though.
You know, MODOK. Don't put these fucking guys in because they're going to be stupid. They're not going to work.
But here's the thing, though. People would have said that 10 years ago.
And then James Gunn put fucking Polka Dot.
I was going to say about Rocket Raccoon and Groot. People would have said that about Rocket Raccoon and Groot, and then Gunn made it work.
Yeah.
So I think I got to say that's one of the things.
But they're more of a Howard the Duck thing. That's all in the writing. It's not in the visuals.
Yeah.
MODOK has a serious problem just in the fucking visuals and how you bring that to screen.
I did get a little bit excited when they pulled him out of that ooze and he was a giant head and just a little naked ass and dangly legs. I was like, so that's what Machu looks like naked, eh? God, I hope you listen to this, Machu, you piece of shit. I love you, bro.
Oh, can we address my fucking bugbear about the fact that in the Marvel universe, anyone who loses their parents turns to science and becomes the greatest scientist on the fucking planet?
Yeah, that's
Peter
correct.
Parker, Cassie Lang, the fucking old little mate from fucking Iron Man 2, every kid who's left alone for half an hour in a shed fucking breaks all the rules of science, and I'm sick of it.
So what you're saying is, I need my parents to die, and then I can finally get sucked off by the quantum realm.
Yeah. That's how it works.
You two can make holes in in a pink gelatinous blob.
Not only does she manage to surpass Hank Pym, who is the literally, apart from Reed Richards, the smartest guy in the entire Marvel universe.
Yeah.
She surpasses his research in her spare time outside high school and manages to bake a bridge to the quantum realm. But that's not enough. Oh, no. In literally 3 minutes, she turns that device that could send a signal to the quantum realm into a fucking portal.
Yeah.
In 3 minutes. Fuck off.
The only thing I'll give it is, like, because we are within, 4 or 5 months of Riri Williams basically becoming the new Iron Man and being this, like, tech genius. Like, at least Riri gets it right.
I forgot about fucking Ironheart.
Wait,
there's another kid.
There's a new Iron Man.
Jesus Christ. Well, that's fucking other little kid who builds an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
Takes Tony Stark half his
Riri
life and all his technology, but no, some kid does it in half an hour.
Exactly. So, like, we're within months of Wakanda Forever where we've got, like, a new Iron Man, basically. And then we've got this girl basically being the new genius. But at least the dum-dum here is just, like, doesn't have any fucking idea what she's doing. Pretentious Zoomer who's just like, oh, check this shit out, guys. This is one for the TikTok. Oh, I'm off.
Oh, no, Dad's been caught behind there. Let me just tinker with this thing for 2 minutes and I'll turn it into a portal to the quantum realm that no one's ever been able to do before.
Exactly.
I mean, technically, these films are now set in the future, right? Like, everything... Huh?
Nah, they're kind of in present time.
Yeah, it's present
But
time.
isn't everything post-Snap now 5 years in the future? Like, I thought
that was the 5 years, but that we made up that 5 years between films.
Did we? Because Endgame was set in 2024, wasn't it?
They never named the year.
I thought they did.
Never really named... Nah, but we're in the now time sort of thing. Like, the 5 years did get caught up over those.
So they've caught up now.
Yeah, the space of having a Captain Marvel that was set in the past and all that sort of shit. Like, we basically caught up, yeah.
Okay. I just assumed that we were still 5 years in the future.
And you think 5 years in the future we can build portals to the quantum realm?
I like to think so. I mean,
any teenager in a high school?
Aren't you guys constantly waiting for the flying car?
Yeah.
And has it happened?
No, but I'm still waiting.
When was Back to the Future 2 set?
Yeah.
2015, yeah.
Yeah. Lost in
Future,
Space was set in 1997.
Yeah, we ain't getting flying shit.
Yeah.
We're not. Wasn't Blade Runner 2017? They'd have flying cars as well.
Yeah.
Even the dystopian version's lying to us.
You guys have all seen that timeline thing of all the science fiction movies and where we are on it. We're basically at Soylent Green levels. We're not getting flying shit. We're about to start eating one another.
Yeah, let's just start eating one another.
Yeah, and that is probably the most accurate of all of the sci-fi films. I don't think we're that far off that.
Yeah, Trump will get back into power and he'll invade most of the third world countries and turn them into food farms.
America!
Fuck yeah!
All right, I've got to ask, let's get back on the cars. What did you guys think of Bill Murray in this film?
Unnecessary, shouldn't have been there. I kind of could get on board with Goldblum in Ragnarok.
Oh, I hated Goldblum in Ragnarok.
Because he was fun. He was way out of place and he kind of shouldn't have been there, and it was like a train hitting the movie. But I love Jeff Goldblum and I just kind of found him funny enough that I could get on board with it. Bill Murray just was the most ridiculous stunt casting in this, and he added nothing, shouldn't have been there. It was out of place. And
I agree. I think it's like the joke was, hey, it's Bill Murray. Like his reveal as a character was the joke, and then it's not like he actually did or said anything funny. No. It was just supposed to be funny that it was Bill Murray.
Yeah. Look, I agree. Like he's a no-name character. He's like popping up in this movie. He's supposedly like a bit of comic relief, and just implying that he's been banging Michelle Pfeiffer, which good on him, fair enough. I would. But like, what the hell? Like, what's his point? What is the point of him? It does feel like stunt casting.
And even if it wasn't Bill Murray, if it was a no-name actor, I'd kind of still be going, why was that character there? Yeah. What purpose did it serve? Did the character serve?
I mean, and we always knew he was going to Lando it, right? Like the moment he appeared, I was like, well, he's going to turn them in.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, what do we have here?
I could do with an entire movie about Veb.
Who's Veb?
David Dastmalchian's gelatinous character. He had holes, Billy. Holes! He had holes!
Oh, gelatinous blob. For a long time I thought that was Michael Cera.
It didn't sound. It sounded more like it didn't. I had to look it up. It didn't sound like David Dastmalchian at all.
Yes,
but
I could totally
his character
see
I liked.
Sarah.
Chidi I liked. I could do with a movie about that kind of rebel uprising.
Yeah, I agree. It would be cool, like an MCU version of Rogue One.
Yeah, where everyone's a different species and they have funny jokes about holes.
Well, I think we're going to get that, Billy. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think we're going to see a lot of people cark it. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, they've got to wrap that trilogy up.
Yeah, well, Gunn said he's done.
Well, of course he's fucking over at DC making cajillions of dollars now. He doesn't give a shit about the MCU.
Absolutely, he's done. Dave Bautista thinks Drax is a joke of a character and he's played him for too long.
And he's actually getting proper acting roles now, even if they are with M. Night Shyamalan and Ding Dong.
Exactly. So
is that the next MCU film we get?
I believe so, yeah. Oh,
Marvel's.
God, I'm failing. What the hell has happened to me?
Marvel's is next, isn't it, before Guardians?
Yeah, I feel like it is the Marvels and Guardians later this year.
Give me
we haven't had a trailer for the Marvels, we had a trailer for Guardians.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for Guardians before this one. It was the first time I'd seen it. I'm not keen.
Yeah.
Well, someone dies because you've got Chris Pratt showing emotion, so
yeah. But
that only happens when someone dies.
You've also got Gamora in the trailer. I'm assuming that they're flashbacks, perhaps?
No, come on, man. Infinity
Fucking
War.
watch all the movies before you comment.
Yeah,
Gamora's
exactly.
back. She came back with Thanos.
Infinity War, she dies. Endgame, she comes back with Thanos, but it's a different Gamora before she meets Quill.
She has no relationship with Star-Lord because she's come from the past.
She's standing there hanging out with Nebula, and she's like, I sleep with this guy. And she's like, oh, it was either him or a tree.
I'm remembering now how bad that movie was. Yeah. fuck, Endgame was a piece of shit.
Oh, you can suck all of my balls. All three. You can suck all of them at once, Billy.
All right, well, speaking of notorious pieces of shit, how are we all scoring Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
Given that the entire film should never have happened because the quantum realm timeline doesn't work that way, it's well established that 5 hours in the quantum realm is 5 years in the real world, and therefore... Come on, bring it, Sam. Bring it.
He went down a time vortex. The time vortex is different from the quantum realm.
Sam, you've got to push your glasses up on your face.
I do.
Actually.
I do. Actually. Michelle Pfeiffer even says in one of the films, don't go into a time vortex. We can't rescue if you go into a time vortex. He goes into a time vortex.
I've heard all this stuff about the fact there's different layers and he didn't go as deep as she did.
So that what happened?
So the logic of the MCU then, Sam, and I want to make sure I'm getting this right, is that if you go a little bit into the quantum realm, time is all fucked up and it doesn't happen the same way. But if you go all the way into the quantum realm, time happens exactly the same as it does in the real world.
Yeah, it's the tip principle.
Exactly.
It's bullshit. And the writers fucked it up
all the way off into the quantum realm.
Anyway, I would say, given that Kang had magical weapons that could disintegrate all of his enemies and he decided to stop using them when the main characters turned up and used weapons that just kind of pushed them a bit. I will give this I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Ooh. Sam?
No, you go, Billy. I want to hear.
All right. I'm a 6. I'm like a high 6, low 7, I reckon. Like I said, I honestly think if this came out 5 years ago, it would have been received.
What did you
much,
give
much
White
better.
Noise again? 7.5?
Something like that.
You're
Yeah,
fucked.
I reckon.
It's crazy, eh?
White Noise is not that much better than this.
Oh
honestly,
my God! How do we do a show together? Sam, fix this, please.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 12.
Classic Sam.
I'm generally obligated to give all of these Marvel films a score over 10,000 out of 10,000 like we do in our show, so I'm going to give it a 12. No, in reality, it's like a 6.2. Like, whatever like a passing...
it's fine. You didn't hate your time, but...
Yeah.
Look,
whatever it is on Rotten Tomatoes that gets them into the fresh category, I'd put it in there. Like, I legitimately... Like it's funny because we did Morbius, and I went into Morbius like remembering all the critics' reviews, everything like that. And first 20 minutes, I was like, "What are those guys? No, this movie isn't that bad." And then it just turned into such a steaming heat.
Oh my God! I thought you were about to tell me that you went into Morbius and you went, and that also was a 6.5 out of 10.
No way, not at all. Like, that movie was so abysmal. But at least first, like honestly, I'll give it to anyone. Watch the first 10-15 minutes of Morbius up until the point on the boat where he starts murdering people. And it's like kind of like, wow, this 100% is kind of cool.
Agree with you.
Everything after that, absolute garbage. This one, it was legitimately the points where, she was like saying to MODOK, you don't have to be a dick. You don't have to be. And I'm like, there's a fucking war happening behind you, you fucking idiot. Like there was points like that I was like, oh, okay, I'm out. I'm not into this.
Kind of like in Endgame, right? When they're in the middle of the war, there's all those casualties and deaths behind them, and Captain America pauses for a moment, and Thor tells him that he stole his beard. Kind of like that, Sam.
Hey, there's no one dying except for the bad guys in Endgame. Didn't you notice that?
You can't compare these. Endgame did not have the premise that if you leave insects alone for a few thousand years, they'll evolve to be super intelligent beings that can like create electronics and that sort of shit.
Hey, let's also talk about that because Evangeline Lilly is a noted anti-vax / quite extreme right-winger.
Oh, is she really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. That disappoints me.
Yeah, when there was the truck rallies in Canada, she was like...
Billy and I are like the two biggest Lost fans on the planet.
Yeah.
So she's come out and said something about that, and I found it quite funny that when Hank Pym goes, say what you will about socialism, and then she's like, oh, that's enough of that, Dad. I was like, wow.
Well, that now explains the meme I saw.
Completely ad-libbed.
That now explains the meme I saw. I know that you're familiar with the subreddit Shitty Movie Details.
Hell yeah.
Sam. Fantastic subreddit. It was a screenshot of her in the movie, just her, and the title was, in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Evangeline Lilly spends most of the movie, without her mask on. This is because she's an anti-vaxxer, and I thought it was just a joke about the movie. I didn't realize that she's actually an anti-vaxxer. That makes that so much funnier.
I was about
That's
to
why
start
she's not wearing her mask.
Bloody rewatch of Lost, and now I'm kind of less enthused.
Sorry, guys.
I know. It's like it's so hard to rewatch Smallville these days after all of that culty stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that makes it better. That's weird enough that it actually makes it better. The anti-vax stuff just makes it distasteful. Weird sex cult stuff just makes me just go, you're in a weird sex cult.
All right. Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us, for taking the time out of your evening to talk some MCU with us. Can you tell all the good people, there you go, I stole your catchphrase again, where they can find movie reviews in 20 Qs?
Nah.
People know. I'm just pleased to finally talk to him in person. Been friends on Facebook for like 5 fucking years or something.
Oh, it's been absolutely my pleasure to chat with you, David. Billy, not so much, but
no, well, you're only human. He's a flawed human, but
yeah, correct.
You're wonderful. I love you.
Movie reviews in 20 Qs. You can find us everywhere. Just search us out. I decided not to bother doing an episode on this movie. We've actually just done an episode on Iron Man. So if you're here to get your MCU fix, go over there and listen to somebody.
That's a good film.
Yeah,
I just had a high score.
No shit. Controversial opinions on that. I'm just going to say, if you're a Nolan bro or a DC bro, maybe don't listen to that episode. You're going to...
Oh, it's all right. I don't think we have any Nolan bros listening to this show.
Not anymore.
Our episode on Tenet garnered our first string of 1-star reviews.
Tenet's fucking not good.
Oh, it's a piece of shit. You can't say... I'm going to have to beep all this. Otherwise we'll get more 1-star reviews.
The only thing you need to beep is my inappropriate use of the R word earlier, because we can't use that anymore.
Well, thank you for joining us, Sam. We'll let you go, and we're going to talk about some bears doing drugs.
Yeah.
Can't wait. And I'll see you listeners next time for the next Marvel movie, which I believe is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy based on what my Google just told me. So sweet. See you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty then, so Cocaine Bear is a 2023 American comedy horror film directed and produced by Elizabeth Banks and written by Jimmy Warden, loosely inspired by the true story of Pablo Escobar. It features an ensemble cast that includes Kerry Russell, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Christian Convery, Alden
Just say
Aaron
Han Solo.
Reich, Brooklyn Prince, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., Margot Martindale, and Ray Liotta. And what is it about, Dave?
Drug people throw some drugs out of a plane and a bear eats them, and crazy hijinks ensue.
Yeah, that covers it. That covers it. I had heard some really mixed reviews of this. I was telling you guys off mic before we started that this morning, Topher sent me a message with a snippet from a review that was, Cocaine Bear makes snakes on a plane look like Citizen Kane. And I was expecting that I was in for a really bad time. But I had fun. What about you?
Yeah, that review is ridiculous. This is nowhere near Snakes on a Plane. That movie was garbage. This movie was heaps of fun.
Heaps of fun. I think this movie it nailed the aesthetic it was going for.
It was exactly what it intended to do, which is
does
very funny, very splattery gore, and heaps of fun.
I mean, there are some fantastic scenes. The ambulance scene.
So good.
When that bear sprints after that ambulance and jumps inside.
Unbelievable.
I don't know about you. How full was your theatre? My entire theatre was pissing themselves for this entire film.
It wasn't full, but everyone was laughing. I laughed out loud more in this film than I have probably in any film for at least 5 years.
Yeah. Yep.
It's genuinely laugh out loud funny in places.
Yes, I agree. I think when it works, it really, really works. I don't have anywhere near as many problems with this film as some other people do. I've heard a lot of people who thought character development was weak, for example. Of course it is. I didn't come in here looking for character development. Do they know what sort of film
this is?
Well, to me, this is, and maybe it is because I love schlocky B-grade movies. I, for fun, will watch old 60s kaiju movies and, you know, like movies like The Blob. Like, I love a schlocky, campy, outrageous, over-the-top horror film, especially when there's comedy elements. And I think this is the first one of these we've had in a very long time. So this took me right back to the 90s. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that was just going out of its way to have this much fun with itself, regardless of, you know, any of the screenwriting quality or anything. It was just trying to have fun, and I think it did.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is the closest that Elizabeth Banks has ever come to actually delivering the film that I think in her head she thinks she was delivering.
Yeah.
I think I was very, very hard on her Charlie's Angels film. I thought it was complete fucking tripe.
Yeah.
But I think she thought she was delivering something that was a lot of fun and kind of reinvigorating that franchise.
Yeah.
I just think it was a complete abject fucking failure. The latter Pitch Perfect films, when she took over directing.
Oh, I didn't know she took over directing those.
Definitely, I'm sure she did the third one. I'm not sure if she did the second. But awful. Absolutely awful. And it's not all the directing. A lot of it's the script. But the direction on this film, I think, is really, really good.
I agree. I think it's very strong.
Any problems there are with the script. And I think you can fall into the trap of being too hard on the script where there's no character development, but there's not fucking meant to be. It's not that sort of film. Who gives a shit whether you care about the fate of any of these characters? You don't. Yeah. You're not meant to. It's not important.
Oh, yeah.
What's important is, are you laughing?
Yeah.
And are you being surprised by sort of gory moments that happen?
Yeah.
Yes and yes, therefore the film does what it's supposed to do.
I agree.
This is not fucking Babylon. You're not meant to build an entire character arc for these people. You're not meant to care, really, when any of them die.
Yeah.
Apart from, obviously,
because it's
you don't want
supposed
the
to be
kids
gleeful.
to die, but
it's supposed to be gleeful when characters die, and you can't have that gleeful, outrageous, like, laughing at death if you care about the
fate of a character. You don't want them to be fucking flipped out of an ambulance, dragged along the road until their face is a pile of red goo.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So, I mean, let's get straight into it then. I agree. I think for me, the quality of the screenplay can be judged on the quality of the jokes, really. Like, how well were they written? And I think a lot of them were very funny. When that bear
I was laughing.
Rips into that pile of coke, and the guy's like, should we shoot it? And he's like, let's see what kind of effect this has on it. To me, there's something very funny about the simplicity of that line. Let me ask, what do you think of the acting in the film? And do you think it matters whether they're good or not?
It always matters, but I actually think that everyone was fine.
Yeah,
same. I hear a lot of criticism that, Kerry Russell, top named actor, and doesn't really have a whole lot to do, but so what? She's fine. She's good in what she has to do. You get that she cares about her kid and she's chasing the kid, and that's really all that this film demands of her.
Yeah, that's true.
I think she's fine. I actually think Aiden Ehrenreich, I want to say.
Something like that.
Yeah. Han Solo.
Don't look at me to pronounce names.
I think he's actually really good. I genuinely get his emotional arc over the film, having lost his wife, ruled his best friend out of his life for a period and sort of re-engages with him. I think he's got a really good arc, and I think he does really, really well. Both the kids, I think, are fine. The kids,
I'm a
fine.
Big Brooklyn Prince
They're okay.
fan. Florida Project was, I think, my favorite film of that year.
Who's she?
Out.
She's the daughter. I haven't seen Florida Project, so
oh my god, you have to see Florida Project. It's fan-fucking-tastic, just brilliant filmmaking. And she's great in that, but that film is very much, and that's the only.
It's a bit different to this, isn't it?
It's very different, and that's almost unscripted. So seeing her take on a film with a script, I don't think she's as strong in this as I expected, based on how great her performance is in that film. But I think
she's basically absent for most of the film. She's got a couple of humorous scenes with the other kid.
Yeah.
And then she's basically gone for the rest of it until the very end. So probably not a whole lot she could do.
Yeah.
I think Margot Martindale is always great. And I think she's great in this.
She steals.
So funny.
Yeah.
And is probably the most surprising death.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when she flies out of that ambulance.
I kind of thought she was going to make it because, A, she's a big name actress.
Yeah.
Big-ish. And also because you kind of think that they've got away.
Yeah. And it's also one of those classic tropes, like she's the small town sheriff. They usually live.
Particularly when you've got a name actor in that role and nobody's as the two ambulance staff.
Yeah.
But no, they all buy the farm. Probably the best scene in the film, let's face it. That was fucking magnificent.
Yeah. And then the other scene I really loved, like I said before, was the scene where the bear is just ripping into the cocaine and the guy on the roof just like rips open the bag and he's pouring it down. It's like snowing on the bear. Just when it really leans into that full over the top absurdist, like that's when this film really works for me.
I mean, Aiden lying there going, no, it's a female bear.
Yeah, how do you know?
Because a vagina is
on my face.
I mean, we know there is no way that biologically that is possible because the bear basically went head to head with him when it fell down. And I know enough about physiology to know that the vagina was
not at that
nowhere near his face. I don't care. That line was the funniest line in the film.
Yeah. You know what else I loved about this film? The score. I thought the score was really, really strong.
I didn't even notice it, to be honest. Which is a testament to how much I was laughing, I suppose. But
yeah, it's really top notch. I think the score itself is really fitting, but also all of the music choices. There's quite a few songs in the film, which we don't actually see a lot of anymore. I think that's one of the things that took me back to the 90s.
Numerous times in this film, I kept second-guessing myself at how much I was laughing because I felt like I should be sympathizing with these poor animals that were in this situation. Because let's face, I mean, the real situation, if indeed, and I haven't bothered to look into it, I probably should have done a bit more research, but if I believe it's based on a story of bears that did actually encounter cocaine and imbibe it, and no one knows what happened to them, but the assumption, let's face it, is that they fucking died.
Yeah, well, that's really... So the bear itself is in a museum.
Oh, they do know. It's actually a thing.
They do know. It's a true story. This bear, they found it... It didn't come in contact with anyone. It didn't hurt anyone. It basically just ate a bag of cocaine and died of an overdose almost instantly.
Which is fucking tragic.
It is really, really sad, yeah.
Which only reinforces the discomfort that I did feel a few times in this film watching these scenes and thinking, this bear is going to die. It's literally just eaten $1 million worth of cocaine. It is going to die. I shouldn't be laughing at this stuff. But the scenes are so funny that I am, and therefore I feel bad about myself, particularly once you get the two little bear cubs who are also going to die because they've also imbibed an ungodly amount of cocaine.
I totally get that. I didn't get that feeling myself. I was just kind of caught up in the fun. But now that you've mentioned it, I don't think I'm going to get that out of my head. I think I'm going to be really sad if I ever rewatch it.
It really hit. Once the cubs came in, were just white from ears to snout with cocaine, and I thought, well, you're going to die, and that's sad because you're cute little baby bear cubs.
It's like that South Park
Ray Liotta, I want to die because he's terrible, but You're cute.
It's like that South Park Christmas special, the Woodland Critter Christmas, where there's the mountain lion that dies, and then there's the poor little baby mountain lion cubs, and it's like, yeah, no one ever thought about its cubs. Yeah. Right, so all in all, how are you scoring Cocaine Bear?
Oh, look, I'm going to give it like a 6. I think I would recommend this to anyone. I think I was not bored at any point.
Yeah, it moves along at a punchy pace. I think the pacing is good. Yeah.
Multiple times, which I can't say about anything that I've seen for years.
Yeah.
So I can't not recommend this. I think anyone that goes in kind of expecting what you would expect from a movie called Cocaine Bear.
Well, that's the thing. It's there in the title. It's called Cocaine Bear. It's like I read these articles about people being, kind of upset and shocked about the children
between the mother and the
cocaine
parents is not sufficiently developed. And did you read the fucking title?
Yeah.
It's called Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed every second with this film.
Yeah.
I will absolutely rewatch it. I will probably buy it on Blu-ray and watch it semi-regularly for the next few years, because it is, the funny scenes are so funny that I will forgive anything else.
Yeah. Predictably, I'm higher than you. I'm a 7 out of 10. I had a heap of fun with this movie. All right, what are we getting to next week, mate?
I think we're getting missing, aren't we?
I am so excited. I loved Searching, so
it was one of the big surprises of the last few years. It was a seriously inventive and good film, so I'm keen.
Mate, you know what else I reckon we should get to? We probably need to write down some Oscar predictions, mate.
Oh, I've got some
the
Oscar nomination complaints. Does that count?
Because the Oscars week after next, so I reckon we got to lock in some predictions.
I'm happy to do that.
All right, well, there you go. Next week.
I don't guarantee I'm not going to whinge about the shit that's not nominated, but...
Well, that makes sense. We can the title of the episode can still just be Missing, because we'll talk about the movie Missing, and then we'll talk about what's missing from the Oscars. All right. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and I'll catch you next week.
Go give us a 5-star review, just for fun.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Not because we deserve it or anything.
No.